I read the book and then I put it down, and because I figured that anything that would sort of, rather than keep referring to the book, I thought anything that would sort of stay with me wanted to go in, and I could always go back to the book if I needed to. But I sort of felt like I knew the biggest. There were a couple of big problems with the book and adapting it, and it was once I solved those, it was like Roald Dahl gives you at the end of the book. He just gives you a whole bunch of information about Miss Honey and stuff like that, and I knew I needed a way in. But also with Matilda, I wanted Matilda to be active. Like actually in the book, she's not really very active. A lot of stuff happens to her, and it was really cracking those things that felt like. Then I felt like okay, I can sort of, and it took a long time.
So my character, Mrs. Phelps, some people say my character is like an anchor in the show. She is a warm, kind, eccentric librarian who absolutely loves to hear stories from Matilda. She's always like, Matilda, you're going to tell me a story, she's Caribbean. I think she realizes that Matilda is really intelligent and actively encourages it, by always, making sure that she's well stocked with books. And she wants the best for the child. She wants her to come up on top and just have the love and the family setting that she can see that maybe she lacks, And she's always trying to find out about Matilda's family as well. And Matilda will say something, and then, she'll open up a tiny little door, and then she'll shut it. And it always leaves Mrs. Phelps wondering, what's going on? What's going on in that family?
It's just great fun. It's honestly just great fun. There's so many different elements to it. I love the comedic element of it. I love how extreme she is. I love that she's a baddie. I love the costume. The costume's sort of really interesting and actually really helps, because it's so sort of out there. And the challenge of it as well, obviously the singing elements and interacting as Miss Trunchbull, where, what's the voice, how does she move? She's much older than me. So all those challenges are, really great to take on.
Mr. Wormwood and Mrs. Wormwood make me laugh because they're so selfish. They don't think about anybody but themselves. Of course, Miss Trunchbull makes me laugh because she's this character that thinks she's really like, proper but she's a little bit disgusting. They're moments that make me laugh. The kids in the school, some of the lines in the show. Oh my goodness, that seems like ages ago now. That was in 2019. I actually finally was told that I got the part. At the time I was doing another show, and literally I finished that on the Saturday. That was The Colour Purple, and I started Matilda on the Monday. It was really lovely to join the team, and it's such an iconic show.
I was actually in the show before in a different capacity in 2015, and I actually understudied Miss Trunchbull, and then there was the UK tour after I'd finished the job in London, and I also auditioned at the end of my time here and didn't hear anything for about 9 months, and they were looking for someone to take over on the tour, and I just got a phone call out of the blue and said, do you fancy coming on the road? And then I did that for 8 months, and then got a call to say, would you come and do the show in London?
When it started years ago, I was in another production. And at the time, in that production, that was Shrek, by the way, we were nominated along with Matilda for an award. And Matilda literally swept the board. So, coming on board so many years later, it's just amazing, yeah.
the best thing about writing for children wasn't said by me, it was said by Bryony Lanebury, who's a playwright who I really admire, and I was on a panel with her once, and she'd just done, I think she'd done Treasure Island, could be wrong there, but I think, but she just, or was it Peter Pan? I can't remember, but she had, she said, someone said, you know, how do you write for children? And what's the difference between writing for children and adults? And she said, nothing, you just swear less. And I think that's a really good way of looking at it. You don't try and write down, you know, you try and write your best that you can. I think adapting in general is kind of difficult, you know, it's difficult adapting something that people really like, but I didn't really realise how much people liked it, because I was a bit older than the generation that read Matilda, so I hadn't really read Matilda, you know, so it only occurred to me that people really liked it. I remember I was in a cafe writing. I used to go and write in cafes, and this bloke said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm writing," you know. And he's like, "What?" You know, we got chatting, and he said, "What is it you're writing?" I said, "I'm doing Matilda," and he just like went mental. He was like, he started quoting the book at me, and it was then that I sort of thought, oh, maybe I've got a bit of responsibility here, you know. But by that stage, I'd written a lot of it anyway. So, but you've got to forget. I think you've actually got to forget all that, because you've got to write it as if it's your own. If you don't make it your own, like Roald Dahl wasn't writing the book thinking about, you know, all of those things. He was writing it as if it was his own. So you've actually got to make it your own, really. You've got to kind of steal it from the original author and make it yours.
The first person that springs to mind is I did have a primary school teacher who was pretty scary. He had a really sort of gruff voice, because he'd spent so long shouting at people that he basically had no vocal folds left, and he would slam a ruler down on the tables, and you know, yeah, he was terrifying. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know, it's funny you should say that. I remember years ago, I went to boarding school. It was called Micklefield School in Seaford, Sussex, and I remember my drama teacher being, her name was Miss Clutterbuck, and I think she became Mrs. Wagstaff later on. But she always encouraged me to just push myself, to do what I loved. She was always behind me, I remember, and I loved doing drama because of her. You know, those favourite subjects, you know, they were favourite partly because you loved the subject and partly because of the teacher. Yeah. So yeah, Miss Clutterbuck / Mrs. Wagstaff was my Mrs. Phelps.
I think it appeals to young and old. I think it's actually a really sophisticated piece, and but also, you know, really appeals to the children. I think that the melodies and she's such a strong character, and I think, you know, young people would look up to her and enjoy her journey. And I just think that story combined with the choreography and the music and the books. So Dennis Kelly's book is just amazing. The dialogue's incredible and vivid characters. We've got it all.
I think everyone relates to that little child. We've all been little children at some point, and everyone relates to that little child who's been bullied and hard done by, and, you know, not supported by her parents, and just trying to find love somewhere, and then she comes out a hero. You know, she comes out on top. And also, I think people love the fact that she's got all these little magical powers as well, that, you know, and that she is not afraid to speak her mind.
Oh God, I don't think I would. I mean, I don't feel that. I feel that I just don't ever look back, really. Even if things don't quite work as well as they might do, there comes a point where you go, I've got to stop doing it, you know, I'll leave it alone. And so I don't think there is anything I'd change. I mean, there's probably when I see it, there's bits that I think, I think I could have done better there, or that's you know, but, you know, you can see it the next night and feel differently about it. So at some point you've got to go, it is the thing that it is. And so, yeah, no, I just leave it alone.